the selected one. This isn't your typical call. All of your agony, marginalization, and misunderstandings were not for nothing. All of these exams were not designed to crush you, but rather to lift you up, since you are not an ordinary person. You did not come to this world alone to live. You were supposed to leave your impact on the world, to move with divine intent. This video is not a coincidence. It means that the sky are beginning to instruct you. When something rattles the foundations of your soul, when a spark sparks inside your heart, know that this is the start of your angel training. The protection you have is not common. It is a holy call from the divine system that prepares you to join its army, opening the door to invisibility training. You will no longer be silent. You'll no longer be in the background. You will no longer hide your light because the gods want to interact with you. Your steps follow destiny's path rather than the usual one. If the information in this video has revealed to you that you have been chosen, this is an awakening. This is a process of preparation. This is a divine appointment. Get ready to ride. In the comments, since you are no longer a lonely human being, but a trained angel, and nothing will ever be the same. The world anticipated you to be a pushover, meek and easily dismissed, a prime target for exploitation. But you wore that expectation like armor, with a soft step, unstated force, and barely discernible presence. They couldn't see the storm brewing within you, or the anger hidden under your calm exterior, because they underestimated you. They didn't realize you were meticulously studying, learning, and improving every move they made. Every encounter with them was an opportunity to learn. They believed that preferring stillness over speech, observation, or feeling was a sign of weakness, suggesting vulnerability to tyranny. They mistook your forbearance for ignorance and compassion for inability. You gave people space, which they mistook for a lack of understanding. They interrupted, mocked, and took advantage of you, expecting you would not notice. But you did. You recorded every detail and change in their behavior. They thought they could sap your energy. You gave freely. They took. You forgave. They took much more. You supported them. They leaned harder. Never anticipated that the relationship's equilibrium would move in your favor. You took responsibility for everything. The options, the clutter, the missed dates, and the unspoken desires. And they still didn't see your worth. They described you as highly passionate, dramatic, and excessive. They couldn't see that your ability to care deeply was not a defect, but rather your greatest strength. You saw patterns while others claimed to investigate the disparities and hunt for disputes. You saw the subtle manipulations, the praise that wasn't genuine. They adjust their tone. You didn't get irritated. You didn't fight back. You have just observed. Because this is what really gave you strength. It wasn't your loudness, but your intellect. It wasn't your rage, but rather your silence. You were certain that everything would come to light eventually. You felt that the truth will come to light at the right time. So you led them to assume they had the upper hand. You let them believe they were winning the whole time, knowing that with each passing day, you were transforming what they saw to be inaction into a well-planned strategy. You weren't meant to be used or manipulated. You were sent as a mirror, a force to help others see their own flaws. Your very presence was a healing force, soothing, stabilizing, and transforming the situation without saying anything. Instead of recognizing the gift, they tried to extinguish your light, believing that your kindness was a weakness. They didn't realize that crossing you meant crossing a sacred barrier with consequences they didn't yet understand. If you are feeling an abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. To help spread God's blessings, click the super thank you button on YouTube and donate $10 or more. This great gift will touch not just your life, but the lives of many others via this platform. Each of you plays a unique part in God's grand plan, and your generosity will be the answer to our prayers. Now, share your advantages to honor His kingdom. In God's loving hands, you were designed to do much greater things. May God bless you. They had no concept what it meant to be chosen to be protected by forces beyond their control. They imagined they could play games with someone normal. But you were not ordinary. You were spiritually protected and divinely shielded. What they saw as weakness was really a divine design, a lesson meant to be learned. You were placed into their lives as a test to see whether they could recognize God in human form. They failed miserably. They thought they were exploiting a lamb. They didn't realize they were testing God's patience. You were not sent to be used for their advantage. You were meant to teach, lead, and awaken. Instead of humbling themselves before that wonderful energy, they let their egos take control. They chose lies over honesty, manipulation over respect. They believed they were in charge, unaware that they were being watched by forces beyond their comprehension. You were their opportunity for promotion. They did not understand the mirror. You showed sympathy when they deserved distant affection. When they tried to be harsh, you stood strong. When they questioned your strength, they couldn't understand the value of your soul because they were so preoccupied with power they didn't deserve. Now, as they sit in the ruins of their own choices, revisiting the moments they disregarded, they begin to see the truth. They start to comprehend who you truly were. The divine test. They abused the favor. They squandered the gift they thought they could destroy. If you sense God's presence, click the join button below to be among the first to hear the most important revelations. Your sensitivity was genuine. It was strategic insight. You did not disguise your strength. You were nurturing it. You recognized early on that power doesn't always manifest itself. It does not come with a roar. It appears as silence. You choose tranquility over chaos. Not because you hated it, but because you knew chaos was predictable and you were everything but. You sat still while others argued. When they tried to provoke you, they saw your silence as indication that they were making progress. In reality, you were only giving them enough rope to show their true intention. You didn't need to reveal anyone's true nature. They did it themselves. They dug their own graves. And you just watched as you selected yourself. Everything changed. What had previously been open, what they had taken for granted, was suddenly behind guarded gates. They could never enter anything they thought they could handle since it was now out of their reach. They came for someone they thought was weak, someone they were certain they could manage. But you weren't weak. You had merely been waiting for the right moment to regain your seat. And now, with a simple shift of energy, you've exposed who you really are. Someone who does not seek affirmation. Someone who no longer obeys their rules. They realized what was going on right away. They never had control. They were just playing a game with someone who was there the whole time. They are now facing the consequences of their actions, and they are haunted by more than just their regrets. They cannot overcome the strength they have instilled in you. It's wonderful. It is ancient. It is a powerful force. They can't comprehend. Every step they took, every attempt to persuade or mislead, has paid off tenfold. It is not revenge. This is divine justice. They can't get away from it. They can't hide from it. And now they are striving to reclaim the parts of the planet they thought they controlled. They are confronted with an indisputable fact. They crossed a line that cannot be erased. What they did to you wasn't just wrong. It disrupted the natural order. And the universe has a great way of balancing the balances. They believe they could mock you a little. You take advantage of yourself and leave unhurt. But now they can't shake the feeling that something is awry. Guilt is eating away at them. The doubts keep growing. They are constantly conscious of the consequences of their actions. Every lie they said and every mask they wore was ripped away. And now they are left with just the truth. And the truth is loud. It's unpleasant. It's their obligation. And no matter how hard they try to convince themselves otherwise, they know deep down that they have unleashed a force beyond their control. A power that exists both inside and around you. I am safeguarding you, ensuring that every mistake they've made is corrected in ways they'll never fully understand. They didn't realize they weren't battling you. They were facing something far bigger than themselves. And now that they've seen your entire power, they can't undo the change they produced when they crossed the border. When they underestimated you, they released an unstoppable force. And now, as everything they once took for granted falls around them, they are left with the terrifying realization that they chose to play with fire. And now they've been burned. But here's the fact. They never had control. They just thought they were. You were an unexpected force. You were the power they couldn't resist, no matter how hard they tried. And now, as they sit in the wreckage of their own construction, they see you emerging stronger, clearer, and more confident than ever. Your energy can no longer be controlled or used. It requires respect and cannot be ignored. You've altered the dynamics. And now, as they struggle to figure out what happened, you simply keep moving on, knowing that your strength was never meant to be hidden. It was always meant to be a catalyst for change, growth, and transformation. They didn't see it coming. They get ensnared in their own web of lies, lost in confusion as everything they thought was stable begins to crumble. But deep inside, they know. They knew when they'd crossed a line they shouldn't have. It was when they attempted to demolish someone who was not theirs. You didn't have to do anything to hurt them. The punishment was to improve your personal growth. The higher you ascended, the more people needed to witness the beauty of your transformation. The greater your light, the harder it was for them to forget what they'd lost. They tried to break you. However, they just made you stronger. And now they are fleeing the troops. They awakened you, but it's already in effect. You don't have to pursue them, contradict their claims, or prove your case. Allow them to speak. Allow them to distort the truth. It doesn't matter. What matters is that they previously had access to someone who was destined for greater things and tried to derail it. What is happening right now isn't revenge. It is just the result of their own efforts to damage you. They've lost more than they realize. They did not just lose your trust and friendship. They lost their divine opportunity, protection, and grace. And what comes after them is justice, not vengeance. The kind you can't ignore. You never needed to shout your authority from the rooftops. You didn't have to demand attention. It's always been there, waiting, and it speaks for itself. You have so much energy that when you enter a room, the mood shifts, not because you're seeking to control the space, but because your presence is undeniably dominating. You are not looking for validation or popularity. You do not have to. Your spirit has already been affirmed by something far larger than they can comprehend. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace be upon you today. I am here to remind you of a basic reality. Our existence is founded on God's divine purpose and is not influenced by earthly concerns. According to the Bible, whatever done with faith will be repaid to God with tremendous blessings. Luke, like a big oak tree, our roots are deeply anchored in God's universal truth. His might protects every step and posture we take. You now have the opportunity to be a part of that gift. When you click the special thank you button and donate $10, this movement will return to you many times over. Your simple existence undermines the constructed universes that others try to inhabit. They can't even see it. However, your presence awakens something inside them that they cannot control or deny. You are not dangerous. Rather, you are a strength, a divine force that moves with absolute clarity and protection. You've walked a path so intertwined with your objective that every step you take is deliberate, and every decision you make is in accordance with something far greater than yourself. You are not just surviving. You are in command. You are the truth's keeper, the protector of what is sacred. You don't need to raise your voice to be heard. Your energy has already done the job for you. The mask you used to wear to fit in and conceal your true strength has vanished. And in its place lies the essence of who you were meant to be. Untouchable, unwavering, and unstoppable. You never had to crumple under pressure. You were designed to resist it, to rise beyond it. You don't avoid situations that others do. Your intuition cuts through the clamor of the world, uncovering what is true and exposing the falsehoods that others try to hide. Your presence exposes others for who they really are, including their hearts and intentions. However, you were not created to live on your own. You were given spiritual victory. And now that you've won, you don't want retribution or validation since you don't have the time, and divine order will take care of the rest. Your power is in your restraint, in your choosing not to respond when you might easily do. This is what defines you as a force. Others do not understand what is happening right now. Those who formerly thought they could influence you, those who tried to keep you little, have recognized who you really are. They see the calm one, which they misunderstood, and they are aware. Now you're the storm. They were never prepared for this. If you sense God's presence, click the join button below to be among the first to hear the most important revelations. You did not use your power to make a point. You did that to restore your composure. Every barrier you've built represents your growing understanding of what you deserve. Clarity and self-awareness are essential for any knowledge. You're not here to explain yourself to anybody. You no longer feel the need to justify your existence, worth, or authority. You choose your words carefully now, speaking only when it serves your purpose. Your time is too valuable to be wasted on individuals who have never appreciated it. The energy that once flowed freely is now a protected resource. Those who previously took advantage of it now face closed doors and deafening silence. You've learned the hard way that not everyone deserves your spirit. Your frontiers are no longer negotiable. You've stopped allowing chaos into your life because you recognize that you're defending more than just your peace. You're saving your destiny. Not everyone is expected to walk with you. And you can now understand that some were just teachings. There were several detours. There were a few concerns. Put your judgment to the test. And now that you've passed the tests, you're no longer acting just for survival. You behave with a feeling of purpose. Your power is focused, purposeful, and unequivocal. It does not need praise or recognition. It lacks direction. You no longer need validation. You no longer expend energy demonstrating your worth to others who are unable to see their own potential. In the quiet, you realized your strength. You found your technique, and were suddenly surrounded by silence. You continue going, unstoppable. You no longer let anyone mess with your energy and go away unharmed. You have regained what was yours, reclaiming everything of your essence that was previously lost or abused. The boundaries you built are now impenetrable, recalibrated with self-esteem and inner clarity, which others may appreciate or avoid. No more allowing others to take advantage of your brightness without offering anything in return. This is the first chapter, and your very presence is worthy of consideration. Those who are unable to match your energy will have no place around you. They are afraid, not of you, but of the version of you they have woken. One that will no longer accept disrespect and refuses to sacrifice honesty for comfort. You are now awake, fully aware of your worth, and go through the world with purpose and authority. This metamorphosis worries them, and rightfully so. The person they thought they could persuade no longer existed. The one who stood before them with open arms, ready to offer compassion, has matured into a powerful force. They're imprisoned, staring at the door. They believe they could proceed now that everything was absolutely safe. You have no ill intent toward them. You are not bitter, but you've ascended. Your elevation has naturally formed a barrier that they can no longer cross. They are now moving cautiously. They remember the moment they tried to cross you. They remember the silence, which spoke more than words could. They remember how your silence undermined their feeling of control. Some of them keep distant out of regret. Others are afraid. The worry is not of your rage, but of being exposed for who they really are. You've evolved into a mirror. They can no longer deceive. And for those who continue to shun the truth, your presence acts as a sharp reminder of their lies. The way people speak about you has changed. They may no longer easily slip your name into a discussion or minimize your importance. The version of you they used to scorn has evaporated, along with their misunderstandings about you. They now speak about you in whispers, knowing that your progress is something they cannot ignore. You are no longer the one making excuses about your worth. Your very presence commands respect. They've noticed the change. How your silence now has more weight than their vehement efforts to undermine you. The energy you produce is no longer something to be rejected. It is a power they cannot replicate. Your clarity has set a boundary that cannot be fabricated or manipulated, and they know they'll never approach you the same way again. Allow them to tell their stories. Allow them to rewrite history. None of this changes the facts of what transpired. Regardless of how they attempt to twist things, the truth will always prevail. They had access to you, your strength, and energy, but they chose to squander it. Now they must face the consequences of their own acts. You didn't have to shout to strike out or get revenge. All you had to do was stand fast in your views. When you chose to remain silent and save your energy, they witnessed the whole extent of your might. And all they've built on lies is beginning to crumble. The wolf they thought they could tame has been revealed, and they are having difficulty orienting themselves, realizing that the door they had gone through so easily is now permanently closed. It's time to distribute God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube. With a $10 donation or more, you can help him carry out his plan and be a part of this sacred endeavor. Every gift represents God's goodness, and I believe it will greatly help you, far beyond your expectations. Remember that his protection and blessing are there in every step and contribution. You become a part of his divine plan. You are a tremendous, bright being, as solid as the big rock that saw God's miracles. Feel the benefits of your compassion in your soul, and light up the world with confidence and courage. Be blessed, and let the light of the Lord guide you. They cannot undo what has already been done. They cannot deny the truth. Their false sense of power is fading, leaving them with the terrible realization that they tried to destroy someone who was never meant to be shattered. You do not need to apologize for who you are. You do not need to justify your shift. You were always meant for more. And once you've stepped into that power, there's no turning back. Those who previously mistreated you now see that the version of you they intended to kill has grown into a strength they cannot fathom. Your power and clarity make you untouchable. You're aligned, not walled off. There is no longer room for misinterpretation. They discovered what you were concealing, and the truth will keep them on the outside looking in for the rest of their lives. You've stopped explaining yourself to anyone. You no longer feel forced to justify your existence, limitations, or power. Every decision you make is founded on clarity. Every step you make is in accordance with your goal. Your energy is no longer a free resource that others may consume. You've learned the hard way that not everyone deserves your soul. People who formerly believed you had infinite energy now face restrictions based on self-esteem and celestial protection. You have gone beyond the point of survival. You are leaving a position of purpose. You recognize what's important and what's not. You realize who belongs in your neighborhood and who doesn't. The clamor that formerly surrounded you has been erased. And in that alone, you found the strength to go on with clarity. No longer chasing anybody or anything. You are fully committed to your path. If you sense God's presence, click the join button below to be among the first to hear the most important revelations. Your stillness is not a sign of weakness. It is a decided choice to protect your peace. Your silence is not an indicator of surrender. It validates your strength. You've understood that certain disagreements aren't worth fighting, and that not everyone who wants to be close to you is worth your time. Your energy is valuable, and you guard it fiercely. The version of you who previously tolerated disrespect has gone, replaced by someone who will not accept anything less than what they deserve. And those who believe they could manipulate or take advantage of you are now fleeing. They see you become stronger and more powerful than ever before, and they know they will never approach you in the same way again. You have established yourself as a dangerous opponent, and there is no turning back. This shift didn't happen immediately. It was forged in the fires of your hardships, sacrifices, and progress. You've moved beyond the desire for validation or approval. You no longer play by the world's rules, which once confined you. You've stepped into your power, fully aware of your worth. No one can steal it from you. People who thought they had access to your light are now on the outside, trying to find out what went wrong. But it is too late. You have already gone beyond them. You have evolved into a version of yourself that demands respect, not because you need it, but because you deserve it. And some who can't handle it, let them go. Let them slip away. You don't have time for distractions. You're on a mission and nothing will stop you.